morning. I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Yeah. Tucson Kitchen Musicians Association began as a group of friends gathering regularly Friday nights for potlucks and jamming in the kitchen. TKMA was established as a 501c3 nonprofit organization in 1986 to further public awareness and interest in acoustic music and other folk arts by promoting and producing the annual Tucson Folk Festival. This April 4th through the 6th, it's the annual Tucson Folk Festival, and it's back. And it's the longest running folk music festivals in the country and has grown to be Arizona's largest free to the public music fest. The annual 3-day event celebrates American folk music traditions and all the wonderful variations from bluegrass to blues and mariachi to Zydeco. The family-friendly festival is held in some of the most historic sections of downtown Tucson. Featuring multiple stages of acoustic music and hundreds of performers, the festival annually entertains well over 15,000 fans coming from all over Arizona and tuning in online from across the nation. The multi-day event also features a wide variety of food and craft vendors, a beer garden, interactive music workshops, and 250 volunteers contribute annually to the success of this amazing festival. And today, I'm fortunate to speak with the Queen Aspen Green, board member of TKMA. Welcome to Lifestyle Tucson, Aspen.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Heck yeah. And we've also got Eric Schaffer, board member as well of TKMA. Welcome to Lifestyle Tucson, sir.
Thank you, Frank.
I'm very excited to talk to you. It's a good time. We're shirt twinsies today, wearing our Tucson Folk Festival shirts.
Absolutely. Even though nobody can see it, we wanted to dress appropriately.
That's right. I like to do it when I'm talking to fun organizations because I've been involved with the Tucson Folk Festival myself for, I think it's like 5 years now or something like that. And I always volunteer at the Wildflower stage and host all the kids. It is one of my favorite things of this entire festival, which has many, many stages and lots of different music, as I was going over in that intro. So I'm really excited to talk to you, get all the origins and some of the history and the details of this year's big festival. So I gave a little bit of that history. Give me a little 101 of what you guys are all about and like a little history of the Tucson Folk Festival.
Well, as you said, we started in 1986 in somebody's kitchen. It was like a potluck event on a Friday night where people just got together and were playing music together. And it grew from there. And we are, like you said, the still a free festival, which is amazing because now we have grown so large. We started out at just one stage, and now we have 6 stages with workshops included, with, like you said, craft vendors and food vendors and lots of things happening. And it's just really grown over these years. We are celebrating our 40th year this year. So it's a big deal year.
I know. And I really do love going to this event because it's nice to be in that area. All the streets are closed down in the downtown area. You get to walk around and have a good time checking out all the vendors. Any event I can get kettle corn out, I'm all about it. And walk around and really enjoy downtown. And the weather is always great because it's right in the beginning of spring. And it's so fun to just see all these different musicians. They're so talented, and musicians of all ages. So let me just ask you first a little bit more about some of the stages, because I do get involved with that kids stage and see all this young talent. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I don't get around as much. Tell me what like some of the themes of the other stages are.
Well, I'll start with the Plaza stage, which is at Hakami Plaza. And it's morphed over the years, but what we're doing now, it's kind of what we consider our headliner stage. And so that's where you'll see the main headliners at that stage. It usually starts out with a mariachi band. This year it's going to be Las Azaleas, which is kind of a women's version of kind of like mariachi. And it goes into the evening where we will have our main headliners on Saturday night and Sunday night.
That's nice. I love how late does the festival go?
Oh, I'd say it goes to about 9 or 9:30.
Yeah,
I mean, 9, but 9:30.
It's really fun because I'm out there a lot in the day, but then this thing, you go all night. It's a really fun event that you can, whether you're busy in the day, that means you just go at night, enjoy the sunset, and have a fun time downtown.
It does, and it takes on this whole different personality at night. It becomes kind of this magic space out in front of the library there, and it's pretty cool.
I believe it. How long have you been involved? Both of you been involved since the beginning, or when did you all get involved?
Well, I've been in town since 1975, so I've certainly been around the folk festival since 1986, but I didn't start volunteering because even all board members are volunteers until probably 2010, when at a last moment they needed somebody to do the program, which is a pretty big deal. It could be up to 50 pages, and I had graphic arts experience. So that was my first introduction into the folk festival, was by doing their program. I think that was in 2010, which I did for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then I passed that on, and now I'm responsible for contracting and artist relations and flyers and fundraisers. And I hope we get to talk about one of our upcoming fundraisers today on the show.
Talk about it right now, because it's really a big organization, 501c3, depending a lot on that fundraising and a lot of volunteers and donations. So let's talk all about it.
It's true. In order to present a free folk festival, and so that everybody who comes doesn't have to pay anything, we have to do fundraising all year long. And this year we have a big fundraiser coming up. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be on Sunday, February 16th at the El Casino Ballroom. And it is with Curly Taylor and Zydeco Trouble. And in 2022, they were one of our headliners. They're a wonderful, high-energy band from Louisiana, kind of like Cajun Zydeco music. And then we're going to be opening with Connie Brannick and the Little House of Funk with her blues edition. She has several additions to her band, and she's going to do the blues edition. And we're kind of celebrating our 40th anniversary with a Mardi Gras kind of, maybe a little bit of a Valentine's Day theme, just to get everybody out and dancing, because at the El Casino Ballroom, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
It's all about dancing and having fun.
I actually love the El Casino Ballroom. I did an episode with them for their anniversary about a year ago. Raul has become one of my best friends, Raul Aguirre.
Love him.
He does so much in town. He's actually going to be my guest next week in a little bit for something else that they do. But what a great organization. And that sounds like a really fun event that's going to be a good way to raise some money for the Folk Festival. And I've seen both of those acts at many events, and that's awesome. Little House of Funk is always a good time.
And we are selling tickets right now. You can go to TucsonFolkFest.org. It's on our main page, and there'll be a link to go get tickets for it. So we hope to see everybody there. It's going to be our big event this year before the Folk Festival, and it's really, really going to be a lot of fun.
That is fun. I was going to ask what other events you do throughout the year, but we can get to that in a little while unless you want to talk about it right now. Besides this upcoming fundraiser, and then we have the Folk Festival happening the first weekend of April, what else do y'all do throughout the year?
We do a lot of things. We hold fundraising concerts throughout the course of the year. We've done a couple this year at Monterey Court. They've always been friends of the festival. We're doing some up at Saddlebrook Ranch. We'll have a fundraiser the week before the festival at 191 Tool, and details on that will be coming out soon. So we work on doing events all year long, keep people engaged, keep raising funds, and always have a good time.
What would be the best website for people to follow along for all of those style of events? Is it TucsonFolkFest.org that you'll list some of those concerts and things as well?
They'll all be listed on there.
Okay, and that's put an at in front of that. That's what I always say, and that's how you follow them on Instagram as well, as Tucson Folk Fest.
And we also have a mailing list. So if people want to join our mailing list or even become a member, which is even better, they can get our newsletters and stuff. They need to go on to TucsonFolkFest.org and join our mailing list, because we do send out updates on all the different things that we're doing.
Yeah, and that's important.
Yeah, and aside from these concerts, we also have regular monthly songwriter circles. We have regular monthly songwriter nights. So there's a lot of recurring programming that goes on as well, just to be there for the community and engage with folks.
Yeah, and we do. There's other people, like another board member, Greg Aiken, does Sunday patio sets once a month. I think it's the third Sunday from 10 to 1 o'clock at Monterey Court, and that's presented by the Tucson Folk Festival as well. And then Ron Pandy is the one who is responsible for creating the song circles.
There's another guy who's just a legend, Ron Pandy. Don't you love that man?
I love that man, and I've known him all these years. He's a wonderful, wonderful human.
He is, and again, such a good guy and such a good smiling face and all these things. I love when I bump into him at other events, but then this is definitely the big key thing for him, I think.
Yeah,
right?
He's also pretty responsible for our holiday parties.
Yeah.
So he does a lot, and he does radio shows with all about his baseball.
Oh, really?
He's got a whole CD that he put out on baseball songs.
No kidding. That's awesome. I love Ron. Like, so fun. And that's the best part about the Tucson Folk Fest. All you guys are just so fun because folk music is like, it's a type of person, you know. If you listen to black metal, you're going to be hanging out with a bunch of goth mean metalheads too. But all you folk folks are really the most fun, laid back, cool. I love folk music. Even there's like a movement even in like sci-fi that there's like these fun like Star Trek folk bands and things like that have popped up where it's really fun to watch the genre of music because it's so broad.
You know,
Isn't
and,
it?
I mean, it's broad in every way, including from the age group of the people involved. I remember one year we had a 5-year-old playing maybe a cello or a violin on the Wildflower stage, which is,
and she was amazing.
She was like amazing, all the way to people, you know, in their 80s who are playing bluegrass music.
Yep.
So we go all over the map when it comes to ages. So we hope that everybody who is in Tucson feels like there's something for them there.
Because I host that Wildflower Stage. Who is the lady? I think they're from Bisbee, and it's a whole gaggle of kids, and they do this big group thing, and then some of them will do separate things, but they are all a part of her.
Jam Pack?
Yes, it's Jam Pack. I love Jam Pack.
Yeah.
They are a fun
And the
group.
Desert Museum people also, they have they're part of that as well.
Yeah, it's so fun to see those kids really shine. And that's another one where it's like, you definitely have 5-year-olds in the front, but then you get up to like 16, 17-year-olds in the back, and then they'll move on to do other things. But they'll take that program with her throughout their entire childhood and grow up to be these great musicians and singers and songwriters.
Well, we have seen people start out that way and become local headliners.
Isn't that something?
Someone like Sophia Rankin,
Yes.
who won our songwriting contest
Yes.
when she was a teenager, and now she's one of our performers.
She's one of the biggest stars in town,
She is
Sophia
one of-
Rankin.
I know.
Yeah.
I had her on my radio show.
That's amazing. Tell me about your radio show while we're on the radio.
So I do Broad Perspectives Radio with my friend Kathy Harris, and it airs at 3 o'clock on Sundays.
Yeah.
And it's on KXCI.
Can people listen to it on demand, or do you have to listen to it only at 3 o'clock?
That's a very good point. So you can stream it if you're not at a radio station, but we also have a page, they call it a podcast page.
Yes.
So when the shows are over, within the next week or so, I'll upload it onto our podcast page where you can listen to a lot of past shows that way.
Exactly. We do the same thing right here at Lifestyle Tucson, all these fun shows, because when you get to be on the radio, you get to turn them into podcasts just like that. It doesn't just disappear into the ether anymore.
Right.
So it's really exciting, and I just do love what you do because it's similar to this show where I only talk to 501c3 nonprofits. It's fun to talk to these people, and you only speak to women and talk about all that almost exclusively, right?
What women are doing in town, and sometimes we get even national people.
Phenomenal. Like, what a great time. And I really do enjoy talking to you. Again, we're making fast friends, me and Aspen, wearing the same shirt, talk about Adobe Photoshop and doing all the art for things, making flyers,
Thank you for
being on the radio.
a Photoshop fan.
No, it's true. So I really do enjoy the Folk Festival so much. So now let's dive into some more of what's going to be going on. As I look on the website, we've got some festival headliners. I don't know if you've announced them.
Our headliners this year for Saturday night, we have Sergio Mendoza,
Oh, yeah?
which I think a lot of people are familiar with.
Yes.
And you know, as a lot of bands do, I'm not exactly sure which people from his orchestra are going to be there, but there's going to be a 5-piece band as far as I'm sure. And
Okay.
Cheryl Wheeler.
Yeah.
No, Cheryl Wheeler is a longtime folk musician, and she is what I used to think what was folk music, and she's going to be our Sunday night headliner, and I really suggest that people look her up because she's just a wonderful storyteller, songwriter, singer. Cheryl Wheeler is touring with Kenny White. So like I said, on the Plaza stage, we're going to open up with Las Azaleas, and that's a women's group that kind of do mariachi-type music, but they're not necessarily considered a mariachi band, and they're really enthusiastic, fun, young women, wonderful local women from this town, and we're really excited to have them. We're going to have D-Faction 9, which is Wailer music, and we're really, really excited to have them. We really wanted to have Wailer music. We're going to have Heavy Diamond Ring, and we're going to have Mark Douglas Barato and Abby Gardner. She was in the Red Mollies, and we had the Red Mollies as one of our headliners, so we have met her before. We have Missy Anderson, Scott Cook, Tesoro. I think people are pretty familiar with Tesoro in this town.
They're fabulous. We had them at a fundraiser about a month ago.
Yeah.
And they're just amazing to watch.
That's so cool. I specifically remember seeing like a native performance. What were you saying? What was that term?
Oh, the Whala?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, and it was breathtaking. Yeah. Like, absolutely, you could see how it captured the imagination of people. Like, you know, people are walking around the whole festival, but around this, it did draw the crowd. Like, everyone had to stop. And a bigger mob of this audience really started to just appear because everybody stopped walking by between all the things and just kind of had to stop and look because it was enchanting and beautiful, and you could feel it. It was something. Again, and I was with my average Joe friends who are like, wow, I don't know what that was, but they couldn't process how they were feeling from it.
Like it's not something you ever heard before.
Yes, so. And it was awesome. And I remember it. I remember the colors, and that was something to see too. And that's why I love all this stuff, because you go to these things and you do feel a little smarter for doing it. You get a little culture in your system, and that's what's making really Tucson great and this festival great, because it's always our community. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff people are going to see at the festival, because obviously there's music. There's music. So now what are people going to be able to do? Because there's obviously some musical like crafts. There's some lessons and some classes, things like that. I know there's a raffle. Tell me about, real quick before anything else, there's some raffles. I know there's this amazing quilt that gets raffled every year.
We always have somebody who does a quilt. We are going to have a quilt raffle this year as well. We have the kitchen store. Mm-hmm. So every year we have a different design for the Folk Festival, and this year it's going to be by David Fitzsimmons.
Oh, my hero, Dave Fitzsimmons. That's right. I saw he released an image that he's doing it for the Folk Festival. I love that man.
Oh, my gosh.
Because, again, cartoonist, and he's my hero. I've had lunch with him once or twice. Got to get him to hang out with me again. Fitz, I love you.
Yes, I'll shout out to Jim Lipson, but it was Jim and my idea to have him do it. He's done one before, and it was our biggest seller.
I believe it.
And we just feel like it's a special year.
Yes.
And he's kind of retired, and he might not be as available, and we just thought it would be a perfect match to have David Fitzsimmons do our 40th year celebration, and he did a wonderful design.
He did.
So we sell T-shirts and hats and cups and
performers CDs.
Performers CDs. We have CDs from the Folk Festival from past festivals. Mm-hmm. We'll have stickers and just the kinds of things that you have at a merch table.
Yeah.
And all the artists that come too will be able to sell their merch at the stages as well. We've changed it where we're allowing them to sell at the separate table, and we have volunteers. And let me just say, we really need to give a huge shout out to the many, many volunteers that it takes to put on this folk festival.
Yeah, I believe it.
We have a wonderful volunteer staff. And they work all year long. We have Melissa Cohn, who actually does all the work for the volunteers for all the different things that we do at Monterey Court. We've done it at Borderlands. We've done it at Saddlebrook. She will get all the volunteers for that. And also at the festival, we have Mohammed, who really runs the volunteers for the festival. And we're encouraging people, too. I think it'll be in mid-February when we have up our volunteer sign up for, I think it's Sign Up Genius, to sign up for our volunteers. And there's so many different volunteer opportunities. You can work in the beer garden. You can work at the volunteer table. That's a whole big thing in itself. You could be selling raffles. You can work on stage by doing stage announcing. There's so many, or you can even work helping in the different green rooms.
Yeah.
So there's many, many, many volunteer opportunities, and we could not do any of this without the large amount of volunteers necessary.
That's right. It's almost 300 volunteers. I know I'd even be beyond that. And remember, that's what I always say. If you can't donate your money, donate your time. So go get involved and look for that. You can go to TucsonFolkFest.org to go find that sign-up sheet and figure out how you can get involved and go have some fun at the Folk Festival. So now let's talk about some other stuff from it. What's some of your favorite other things? Because there's obviously craft, there's vendors. I bought some really cool 3-dimensional cards at one of this thing from a local artist. That was great. So you got a lot of awesome stuff, a lot of opportunities to go get gifts for friends. I always tell people, go to these craft fairs, go to these music shows that we have in the Southwest, and send these things to your friends that live on the coast that don't get to experience all these amazing things. 'Cause the Southwest has very unique gifts that you can't get anywhere else. And at festivals like this, a lot of one-of-ones, a lot of artists,
we get
things.
local artists,
Yes.
which is really nice. So that we're really representing the local art community. And it varies from year to year because, of course, you have to apply to be one of our craft vendors. So it varies from year to year. But there's wonderful things. I mean, you get everything, of course, from tie-dye T-shirts. We must have those.
Gotta.
But to other kinds of crafts as well. We have somebody doing quilts and baskets and jewelry and all sorts of things. I mean, just like every other big festival, we represent all different kinds of crafts.
And it's a great family event too.
Yes.
We make sure there's plenty of shaded seating at each of the stages, which beginning of April could be a big
It
deal.
doesn't matter.
Sometimes.
The temperature can be the temperature. It's that sun that's a demon.
Yeah.
It's the truth. But
So-
lots of big tents at all these stages. Lots of covered, lots of seats, lots of handicap accessibility. There's even a guy, I see him every year at the thing, and we always have a chat, and I only see him at this event. We always have a chat, and he zips on up, and is always kind of appreciative that he can celebrate this festival and compliments it, that he's able to get around downtown. And it's really nice to almost have these friends. I call them festival friends. There's certain friends I only see at various festivals, depending on where I'm going. And this is certainly one that it attracts a certain, I see them every year, and it's really fun and familiar.
And all the stages are within like a 5-minute walk of
Yes.
each other. You'll never have to walk more than 5 minutes to go from stage to stage. And what folks will do is they'll pick up the program that Aspen does.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. They'll pick up the program.
But
And
you can also get the program online. We
Yeah.
have come
Yes.
into the modern age.
yes,
Good,
at
good.
TucsonFolkFest.org. And you can go through the program and decide who you want to see and see what stage they're playing on at what time, and then kind of plan out your day and move from space to space. There's great stuff going on for kids. There's some guy there named Frank who always does a great thing every year
Yep.
over next to the Wildflower stage.
I do love it. So
And,
it is. It's one of my favorite events. And again, it's just nothing but smiles for miles, walking around all downtown and getting to really enjoy it. And I really enjoyed having the both of you on today. This was really fun. Like I say, it's always fun to make friends. It's the best part of this gig here at Lifestyle Tucson is meeting all the heads. I like to say the heads of these organizations, the faces behind the places of all the fun things happening in Tucson. So thanks so much for being here today, because today we made friends with Queen Aspen Green, board member of TKMA, and Eric Schaffer, also board member of TKMA. And again,
Without a superlative.
No,
I don't get a superlative.
no, I only called myself the queen as a joke.
yeah, well, it rhymed and I'm using it, so that's all. All right? Listen, I'll just say,
Queen Green.
there you go. And that's what I'm saying, okay? When it rhymes, it works, all right? And let me just see, all right, if I could, let's see. It's the #1 volunteer staffer, Eric Schaffer. No, that didn't work either. I tried, all right? But
Schaefer.
yeah, I know, that's the joke. But it's all right, all right? We're making friends left and right, and I'll come up with something for you by the Folk Festival. The largest free 3-day music fest in the Southwest, April 4th through the 6th. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Thank you.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. Aspen got all shy. She's the queen of this folk festival, taking care of all this business. Eric also doing a fine job. I really enjoyed talking to these two great folks all about this amazing event that I realized I've been a part of for almost a decade. Time flies, eh? But yes, the Tucson Folk Festival is really something. If you haven't been down there, you have to go check it out. It's a fun weekend, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's first recap what's coming up in just a week. February 16th at El Casino Ballroom, you've got Curly Taylor's Zydeco Trouble, as well as Little House of Funk doing their blues set, all raising money for the Tucson Folk Fest. Get all the details on this show over at TucsonFolkFest.org. Put an @ in front of that. Follow them on Instagram at Tucson Folk Fest. They're pretty great with their social media, so follow along and join that newsletter. That's the best way to get all this information sent right to your inbox so you don't miss any of these great shows or any of the fun stuff happening. Speaking of great shows, let's not forget that Aspen is also the queen of podcasts. Broad Perspectives, courtesy of KXCI on their podcast page. You can go find it. It's probably also broadcast to some of these other podcast platforms. But Broad Perspectives podcast, go enjoy Aspen talking to women all about all these amazing issues. Some national guests, a lot of local guests. It sounds like a great chat that you have with this amazing lady, because you heard her here today and how fun she was. So it really is something to listen to, I'm sure. Broad Perspectives, check out her podcast. Give her a follow. And now let's talk about the Tucson Folk Fest itself, April 4th through the 6th. It is free. No tickets needed. Just start walking around downtown, follow the music, follow your heart. There's plenty of food as well, snacks, treats, all this good stuff. Lots of grass to walk into. Take your shoes off, walk in the grass, listen to music, check out all the different stages you heard. They're all within 5 minutes of one another, yet the music doesn't travel because the acoustics of those buildings keep things trapped but also keep them contained the way you want. So it's a really good time to experience everything happening at the Tucson Folk Fest. And it's great. It doesn't even start till like around 11:30, noon o'clock. So you don't got to worry about getting up early for this big event happening April 4th through the 6th in downtown Tucson. I hope to see you there for sure. Lastly, I just want to thank our new friends at the Tucson Kitchen Musicians Association for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are, folks. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot toot Tucson, I love you the most. And the thea, that's all, folks.